Every game we play from here on out will be a big game. It's two tough teams going at it. They know us. We know them.
For the end zone, it's caught for the touchdown. Down the field. Intercepted. And Edwards is going to go for the touchdown.
Whoever wins the turnover battle usually wins this ball game.
We got a great defense, and we want to show it for 4 quarters, 60 minutes.
If you like defense and you're into good smash mouth in your face style defense, both these teams are giving you a real treat.
But, Monday Night Football, everybody's going to be watching. It's another chance to go out there and show what we can do.
We got 6 games, and, everything will be determined by what we do going forward.
We just got to come ready for a dogfight. Regardless of the records, we know it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, be phenomenal or be for God. They fall like dominoes, soft as cod. Mad I lost. Sick, I'm toxic. I know I got it. Ready, I'm ready. Come test my ride. Time is ticking, man. We ain't waiting all day. No politicking or ego tripping. You late? Yeah. New day means new games. Leg day, how I move weight. With my crew like Wu-Tang. This Batman, not Bruce Wayne. You wanna be safe or stronger? I'm ready for war. I'm covered in armor.
Now he's in trouble and he's got nowhere to go. Over the middle. How did he fit that in there? My goodness.
You put your best and make another great play like that.
Go deep, and he's got a big completion on first down. In the end zone, to Evans holds on. And the Bucs recover.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back after that beautiful introduction. I'm here with another guest, Mr. Caleb Benenoch, and I'm your host, Blake Anthony, and this is Sports Talk 49, coming after to the Monday night lack of offense, 2 minutes of football, 5 minutes of football that really got played of offense. Me and Caleb are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of topics. We're going to talk about the recap. Of course, if you don't know Caleb, he was in the 2016 draft, drafted in the 5th round out of UCLA, played for multiple teams. Correct me if I missed them all. Pats, Panthers, Cowboys, Lions, and Saints. Did I miss anybody?
Patriots.
And did I say Pat? Yeah, I said Patriots.
Oh.
And
I really only count – the only teams I count that I put under my belt because I spent extended time with them is Bucs, obviously. Team that drafted me. Love-hate relationship, with the staff right now. But Pats, Patriots, Saints, and Lions are the ones that I got love for.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's all business, and we talk about all that here because you're free to say you're free to say how you feel on this show. There's no put no limit on you how you feel. You speak how you feel, and whatever you want you want to talk about here. So that's how we do it. Once you be relaxed, get you a drink. If you need a cigar, whatever you got to do, we're gonna come in here and have a great time. So let's talk about that Monday night game. What do you think? What you play for the Saints? Like, how did that all happen? Like, no offense, totally.
I'll be honest with you, and Dennis Allen, I like him a lot as a coach because me and Dennis, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I like Dennis Allen a lot as a coach. Like me and him had a good relationship. Again, like most of my time on the Saints, I was like a swing tackle on the second team, backing up Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk, 2 phenomenal players. And so I got to go against beasts. So I got to go against the one defense a lot. And I was the one, especially me and Quan Alexander, because Quan was on the one defense, and we used to bring all the energy. And I talk a lot of smack every day. I come in there, me, Quan, DeMario Davis, we talk smack the whole practice. Like, we're yelling at each other. Marshawn Lattimore, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, when he was there, lots of smack. And we have a good time. And he's a great defense coordinator. But what they're doing with the offense right now, with the players they have, it's not good. Like Sean Payton. And that's one thing people don't understand. Like, coaching matters. Sean Payton leaves, and Saints offense has disappeared because dropped down. Last year, Alvin Kamara missed like 4 or 5 games. Mark Ingram missed like 3 or 4 games. Michael Thomas didn't play at all, and we found a way to win 9 games because we found a way. And there was times where our offense, we would go in I'm gonna get into a little football talk right now. We would go in knowing that this team might have played cover 3 or they played zone the whole game. Against us, they're playing man on the outsides and they're loading the box up because they know we're gonna run it 30 times because we have Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. So we went into every game knowing whatever they showed the week before, we're not gonna get that. We're gonna get the 8-man box and they're gonna play man on the outsides. But we still find a way to win games. So the fact that they couldn't close that game out is a travesty. And the fact that Jameis Winston is not on the field right now is a travesty because he is dynamic. I understand the turnovers, but he gives you a chance to win. You have had, I don't know how many weeks since Jameis got hurt. You've had like 9 or 10 weeks of Andy Dalton. I love Andy Dalton. He's a Katy guy. He went to Katy High School, right? We grew up in the same hometown pretty much. He's not it. And this division, you still have a chance to win it because the division is so bad this year. Yes. And so to put that kind of production out there, to be up 16-3 or whatever it was with 8 minutes to go and lose that game, 8 minutes to go. It's sad. It's sad. It's really, really sad, and it's a travesty. And I don't know how you let that happen. I don't know how you keep playing that guy. And again, I don't want to talk trash on anybody. I know how hard it is to play in the NFL. I know how hard a quarterback is. But if you want to win games, you got to put the guys out there that can help you win games. You throw it on 3rd and 1 and then punt the ball and give the ball back to Tom Brady. If you're going to throw it on 3rd and 1, then you might as well run it on 4th and 1. You know, and so it's just a lot of things in that game that I didn't like. And the Saints have a history of giving Tom Brady struggles. And so that was just really, really bad team management on my part, from what I think.
No, absolutely. I agree with all that analysis you just said, especially with the coaching staff switching. I think me and Noah have talked about that several times, and it's about Dennis Allen. We talked about how he should have gotten an opportunity a while ago to be a head coach. I didn't think personally it would have been with the Saints. We didn't know how the whole Sean Payton thing was going to come about. I'm sure there was some issues going on behind the scenes that fans and other teams don't know about, media people don't know about what's going on. Of course, with Michael Thomas, Sean Payton's abrupt departure from the team, and then Dennis Allen stepping in that role. And like you said, he doesn't have an offensive coordinator to really support their offense. You're not using the tools there for whatever's going on. You know better than I do. Football, there's a lot of politics in that game. They feel like they have to invest in certain people and play them when you know you should be playing another guy that gives you a better chance to win a game, but they won't do that for whatever reason, whether it's the GM, the owner, whatever's happening behind closed doors. There's just some decisions that are made that you just don't understand.
100%. It's unfortunate, but it's a game. It comes.
It happens. It's connection. I was just saying, I was like, you were absolutely right. I think everybody in that stand, I'm not sure if you watched it or you were at the game. When they punted that ball, it was 4th and 10, I believe. They were on their side of the 50. They weren't on plus 50. They were on their side. I think it was like the 35 or the 40 where it was 4th and 10. And Tom Brady wanted to go for it, and Todd Bowles decided to punt. And I think everybody in the stadium was pissed off at that point because it pretty much you thought you were forfeiting the game. Saints were going to get the first downs around the clock. And like you said, the Saints should have pulled that game off and got mustered up some type of offense to bleed that clock, knowing that you got Tom Brady on the other hand. But Tom Brady, in old Tom Brady fashion, found a way to muster up 2 touchdowns in under 6 minutes of football when they had no offense the entire game except minus that first drive at the beginning of the game where they ended up getting the field goal, as I showed those clips earlier.
Yeah, I think it was 2 things going on because the Bucks on 3rd and 9+ this year are the worst team in the NFL. They've completed maybe 2 out of like 50. I think was a stat before last night. It's been bad on 3rd and 9+. It's basically like if you don't get 5+ yards on your first 2 plays, the Bucks are pretty much punting the ball. And I think Todd Bowles understood that, which is why he punted it. But he also understood that the Saints' offense has been non-existent for this whole season, other than when Jameis was there. When he was there, again, like I said, I understand the turnovers. I played with Jameis. But he gives you a chance to win. He gives you a chance for big plays. The Saints don't get big plays anymore. Like, they don't have an explosive offense. Like, there's games they're losing 17-0. Like, for me, as an offensive lineman, if we can't score 24 points, we did not do our job as an offense that week. We did not do our job. So, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, it's like, you got to do better than that. And, like, scoring no points, scoring 3 points, having a defense score a touchdown and banking on that, Like, it doesn't work. It's not 2002. It's not the Ravens, right? The league has changed, you know, and that's kind of the thing we're seeing right now is defensive-minded coaches can no longer sustain in the NFL anymore. You got to be offensive-minded because the only people winning Super Bowls, only people being successful are offensive-minded guys. Look at the Bills, right? The Bills have so much success, right? And they have a defensive-minded coach, but they also have Brian Daboll. And Brian Daboll was a great offensive mind. I played for him for a short amount of time. Great offensive mind. Josh Allen was really talented, but inconsistent for his first couple years. They get Brian Daboll, and the year he gets Brian Daboll, for those 2 years, he's an MVP candidate. They're going to championship games. Not Super Bowl, but the championship game. He leaves, and now Josh Allen, in the last, whatever it was, 6 or 7 weeks, he's 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, right?
A lot of red zone turnovers.
You know what I'm saying? And look at the kid from Miami. I won't call him a kid because we're almost the same age.
Are you talking about the head coach?
Tua, we're talking about Loa.
Oh, Tua,
Head coach. They had a defensive-minded head coach. They said Tua's not the guy. He's not that good. And also, they got Tyreek Hill, which is a game changer. But also, the offense looks different. Tua looks different. He's in the MVP conversation, right? So the NFL is changing. It's switching to offensive-minded guys. And so it's tough for defensive-minded coach who doesn't understand offense. Unless you have a great offensive coordinator, it's hard to have success in this league right now, which is why I believe next year somebody's going to give Sean Payton $100+ million to go coach for him because you need offensive-minded coaches to win in the NFL today. The way they protect quarterbacks, the way the field is spread out, the way the game is going, defensive players can't hit the way they want to.
No.
Can't take dudes' heads off over the middle like we're used to. So you need offensive-minded coaches to be able to, put players in position to succeed. And so I don't think the Saints are doing that right now.
Oh man, you touched on so much. But let me start at the first of it. Before I get man, you hit a lot of key points. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. All right, let me start at the beginning before I get so caught up in everything you said. All right. So when you have a quarterback like that has propensity to throw turnovers, how is that? What do you guys like? You were here with Jameis when all that was going on. What would you guys say to him, like when he would turn over the ball? Sometimes he would just do a little too much. I get it. The guy's a gamer. He wants to win. That's what you love about him. There's no surrender with him. So, I mean, so when you're in a tough matchup like that, and then he makes those, sometimes they're bonehead turnovers.
Yeah.
So what do you guys say to him? Hey, pick it up. Let's go. Like, what do you, what have you, like, speak from your personal experience. What have you said to him in those situations?
Okay, so there's a couple points with that, what you just said. A lot of it is the offense, right? So I'll do a little fast forward. When Tom Brady first got to the Bucs, Tom Brady, through the first, I think it was like 7 or 8 weeks, he led the league in turnovers and interceptions. He had a talk with Bruce Arians and said, because Bruce Arians is the no risk and no biscuit.
Correct.
A lot of balls. That's what the Bucs, that's what we did, because we would have 600 yards of offense and 40 points and 5 turnovers and lose the game, because it's all deep balls and we have good receivers. Mike Evans had 1,000 yards every year of his career, and we get the ball downfield. We make big plays. But with that comes a lot of turnovers. And so Tom said, hey, we have to have a balanced offense. And he had to talk with Bruce Arians. It was, publicized to the whole media. And he was like, hey, we need to do check downs and do these things like that and have like a balanced offense. And so I think a lot of the issues that Jameis had early on was part of the offense. And also, Jameis knows, I've talked to him about this, he knows how talented he is. He can make every throw. So sometimes when it's like, hey, all we have is deep routes, and he's like, there's 2 guys over there, I can fit it in there. Mm-hmm. We've had that talk, right? And so obviously we want it to be, something where there's no turnovers, but we understand the offense that we're in. And I think the team we had for my 4 years were super, super talented. And there's a lot of reasons why we lost games. It wasn't just because of Jameis, but we could have made it so there's more checkdowns and more easy passes to get him going than just deep routes. But I think, like I said, I think a lot of it is the offense. It's the offense, is the way things are schemed. Because when he got to the Saints, Jameis had like 10 touchdowns and
Correct.
Like 3 interceptions.
Lighting it up. Yeah, he was lighting it up.
We were 5-2, and we beat the Bucs at home. And we were on track to go to the playoffs and have a good run. Then he tore his ACL, and then the season kind of didn't pan out the way he wanted it to. But he was playing really well under Sean Payton. So, like, I think for a quarterback, having a coach that understands your skill set and can put you in a position to succeed, because Jameis wasn't throwing for 500 yards a game. He might throw for 190, might throw for 250, but we win. You know, he had 2 turnovers the first game against the Panthers, I believe, or the game against the Panthers, and then had 1 turnover the next like 4 or 5 games. So, like, we were playing very, very well until he got injured, you know, and then I think the quarterbacks that we had on our roster after that weren't as talented. And the way the league is right now, you need a star quarterback. If you want to win games, you need a star quarterback. The running back era is over. The running back era was the 1990s. Derrick Henry, you know what I'm saying? If Derrick Henry was in the 1990s, he might be the greatest running back of all time.
Oh, God, easily.
Because that dude is amazing. Nick Chubb, if he was there in those eras, he might be one of the greatest of all time because that dude is amazing. But it's the quarterback era, so you have to cater to your quarterback. And if you don't have a star quarterback that can make all the throws, that can get, because, like, look at the receivers they had. I know Michael Thomas has been hurt this year, right? Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry's a stud. Chris Olave is a really, really good young player, right? Look at the difference that it made when Garrett Wilson from the New York Jets, because I was there earlier this year. Garrett Wilson, I saw him at practice, and I was like, this dude is amazing. He is amazing.
So what you're saying is he's better than Olave? Is that what you think?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think Garrett Wilson can, if he has a good quarterback, has the trajectory of a Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, that's a lofty goal. Or like Jamar Chase, but I think he's that talented. I do. He can run all the routes. He's fast. He can make guys miss.
He's proven it.
He's amazing. But you saw the first few weeks, you didn't see Garrett Wilson. And then they put a new quarterback in there, and then all of a sudden Garrett Wilson is killing it the last 2 weeks, right? He's scoring touchdowns. He's getting the ball in his hands and making plays. And so the quarterback is so important in today's game. And, like, I think you have to cater to him. And, you know, like, it is what it is. Like, that's where the game is going. It's not fun for defenders because I think defenders' jobs are getting harder and harder with the rules and how things are set. I grew up in a time where you could hit the quarterback really, really hard and it's not a penalty. And you can hit dudes over the middle and it's not a penalty.
Oh, yeah.
The game is what it is now, and you're getting paid a lot, so you got to figure it out. So I think, you know, like, again, I love Dennis Allen. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great defensive mind. But you need offensive-minded coaches, and the Bills are seeing that right now too. Like, if you're going to be a defensive-minded coach, you need to have a great offensive coordinator, a great quarterback guru on your staff that can get your quarterback where he needs to be.
Absolutely, and that was the other part of it. So with that, that's such a hot topic, especially here in Tampa. Now, I don't know how much you know about all the situation. Again, like I said, speak how you feel. Arians steps away. Yeah. There's rumors that there was a rift between Arians and Tom Brady. Brady wanted to go to Miami.
Definitely.
Bruce Arians was gonna stay. So Bruce Arians left but didn't leave. He's still with the team but a different role. Todd Bowles, and now you have Byron Leftwich. Now you said Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach, and now you have Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles have taken a lot of heat now with everything that's happened thus far, especially with this offense. But maybe you can bring some clarity on it that Leftwich has had success here. You've been here with him. He's had success since he's been with the team. I think their offense has been either top 3 2 years, and I think top 10 2 others. And this year is just like a huge drop off, and we're not sure where that's coming from. Is that Tom Brady dealing with his off-field issues? Is there more going on? Of course, injuries to the offensive line plays a key part. You know, you've played on the offensive line. You know what that's like, having guys in there that's not going to do their job or having propensities to get holding calls and penalties and setting you back in drives and things like that. Like, what do you think all that's going on? Especially, do you think Byron Leftwich is the guy to support Todd Bowles? Do you think Bowles should not be a head coach? What you say here is such a huge topic right now in Tampa.
Yes,
so go for it.
So I'll throw the offense on sale right now because those guys are a top 10 offensive line. I think top 5 before last night's game, right? As far as sacks allowed, you know, and that it coincides with Tom Brady because he gets the ball out fast, and I say that. But those guys have been playing good enough football for them to win games. Tom Brady's not being sacked a lot, but he never really does because he gets the ball out really quickly and he makes guys run him better. But after Bruce Arians left, he doesn't have anybody to challenge him on his thoughts, right? Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. He's like, hey, you guys do the offense. There was a story that came out when Bruce Arians was the coach that Byron and Tom would have plays designed and things they want to do, and Bruce would be like, no, we're not doing that. And Bruce would come out almost every other week and say, Tom played like crap, or this happened, or that happened. But Tampa was winning, you know? And I think I enjoy coaches that challenge me, especially if you know what you're talking about. If you know what you're talking about, I want the challenge, and I want you to challenge me, and I want us to work together. So I feel like now it's just basically, hey, Tom and Byron, you do whatever you want to do. And it hasn't been working, you know? And I'm not sick. Tom is a brilliant mind. Like, he's the GOAT, right? And Byron Leftwich is an amazing quarterback coach, right? But again, when you get thrust into this position of handling the whole pressure and like everything, there's going to be growing pains. But with Tom Brady, you can't have growing pains. You expected to win, you know? So I think for Tom, he needs a coach that's going to challenge him. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. He needs a coach that's going to challenge him. He needs a coach that's going to call him out on things. And he needs a coach because that's what he's used to. I played for Bill Belichick for 2 years. Like, Bill's not taking anything. Josh McDaniels, look at the Patriots offense after Josh McDaniels left. And I know he's struggling in Oakland. Right, because he's trying to implement a different system than he's used to. But the Patriots offense went from a top 10 offense with Mac Jones to now they're bottom half of the NFL.
Struggling.
You know, and I was in those meetings, right? And Josh let Tom do a lot of things, but when certain things came up, he gets challenged and he gets pushed on. He's like, no, we're going to do this. Right? I know you like this, but this is going to work. And we're going to do these things. And we can talk about Bill Belichick later because I have a good story for you about Bill Belichick. But I think I have a great story. But I think quarterbacks need, especially because it's a quarterback league, quarterbacks need a coach that's going to push them and challenge them and get them in a position to succeed. And it's a tough job to do. You know, these guys like Byron Leftwich is his first role as offensive coordinator, you know, and people want him to be a head coach. And it's like, it's a tough job, man. Like, it is not an easy thing to do. And that's why they go for guys with experience, you know. And so I think that I think that's the problem in Tampa right now is no one is really challenging Tom on things that he wants to do because the offense is stagnant. And they have too many good players to be stagnant.
Correct. There's no reason for it.
There's too many. It's the same team that won the Super Bowl. Other than Gronk, and you can't tell me like Gronk had 5 or 6 great catches and 5 or 6 big moments in the game, but everybody else is the same, right? Everyone's the same. And this team was scoring 40 points, you know, dismantling the Kansas City Chiefs, which I think is one of the best teams in the NFL. So, you know, I just think that like they're missing that factor of somebody being like, hey, Tom, you need to do this. Like, this is what's going to make us better. I think they're missing it right now because the offense, the way they're playing, it's not good enough, and he's too good, you know. So
no, I absolutely agree. I've been very critical of Tom Brady thus far, and I think you said a lot of things that I've said already. I said like I said before, you know, Arians was pushed out. Like I said, I'm not gonna say who said all that. Arians was kind of pushed out because they didn't want Tom Brady to leave to go to Miami, which all that unfolded with the marriage and Giselle living there and all that, whatever. But
something about that.
Huh?
He's dealing with a lot off the field. He is. But so is every player.
Correct. That part.
Everybody's not just as big a star as Tom Brady, so it's not publicized. But everyone is doing something off the field. I've been in locker rooms. Guys deal with things. Part of being a professional is compartmentalizing.
It's life. Like Bowles said, it's life.
Exactly. I've had a 103-degree fever, and I had to go to practice. And after I walked off the practice field, my coach said, that's how you be a professional. He said that to me. Derek Cutter, I love that guy. He said that's how you be a professional because things are going to happen in life, but you have to show up every single day. And nobody cares. Perform. Nobody cares what you're dealing with. When you go out there, you have that Tampa Bay across your chest, you have your number on, they see a number, and you got to perform. So he is dealing with a lot of things off the field, but so is everybody else. You just don't hear about it because they're not as big a star as him.
I think I had Styles on here last week, and Styles put up a good point. I don't know if you know Styles, Red White, used to play for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay, Styles. He said a good point. He said, football is easy for Tom Brady. Hell, he's been doing it. I'm quoting you, Styles, if you're watching this. But I know I can't say it as exclusively as you. Tom Brady's used to dealing with football 20 years plus. That's easy. That's first
Yeah.
thing. He said off-field issues is something Tom's not used to. Divorce. Now you got to share kids. Now you got to do this. I said that's new for Tom Brady. So I think he said he's having a little bit of issue dealing with off-field Tom versus on-field Tom, and I think it kind of played in there. But back to what I was saying, I was very critical on him because the Bucs have catered to this man since he's been here. Not mad at you. It's Tom Brady.
As you should, yeah.
And not mad at you because Tom Brady, and you should. You went to the wedding, Kraft and all that. Was it the wedding they went to, and you didn't do the walkthrough with the team, and I believe they lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
There was the vacation trips that he take in the offseason, missing preseason games. I mean, it's been multiple things that they've catered to this man. And now one of the most important pieces, as you said beautifully on here, your quarterback, you're struggling on offense, and you're the head honcho of that offense. It's like, I don't know. It's like really hard to say what I will say it. I said, there's not one thing you can blame on this offense because there's so many things that have gone wrong. I think it's just been a lot of inopportunistic things that have happened each game that put them in the rears in the games or get you behind or put you in compromising situations. It's just every week it was something new. What do you think?
Yeah. I'll say this, like, those things happen all the time. Star players not being in meetings or doing something else when the team was doing something else. Like, you're a star for a reason. One thing, I'll break down the fourth wall right now. The first day Bruce Arians was there, he says, I'm going to treat you all with respect, but I'm not going to treat you all the same. Mike Evans is not going to get treated the same as a rookie wide receiver because Mike Evans has earned that right. So during OTAs, if a star
go ahead. It's something I want to ask you after that.
Okay. If a star player says, hey, I got something going on, I can't make it to OTAs for a week, he won't be at OTAs. It's not going to be a problem. If a rookie undrafted guy says, I'm not going to be here for a week, you're going to be on the street. So there's a difference. And so I'm not going to fault him for that because I don't think Tom Brady doesn't know the offense. I don't think Tom Brady needs to go to a Saturday walkthrough if he wants to go to a wedding. I don't believe that. I think he can be just fine.
Okay.
Like, if Tom Brady doesn't practice all week, I was in the Patriots with Tom Brady. He practiced once a week. He wouldn't practice on Wednesdays. He practiced on Thursdays.
Say that again. How many times he practiced?
Once.
Okay.
Thursday and Friday. The year I was there with him, Thursday he'll practice with no pads, and then Friday, and he'll do walkthroughs. But when he came in on Thursday, he would throw dimes to Antonio Brown.
It's like he ain't missed nothing.
He didn't miss anything. He knows how to play the game. So him missing those things, I don't think is the issue. I think it's highlighted now because of all the other stuff going around him, and he's a star.
I can see that. Yeah.
He's transcended football. This guy has Tom Brady has Aston Martin contracts, and you know what I'm saying? Like, football players don't get this kind of things. He's almost a soccer star. What I'm saying?
True.
So he lives a different life. He's married to he was married to a Superman. So he lives a different life, and so things get magnified. But I don't think him missing those things are the problem because he knows what to do. He knows the offense better than guys that have been in the offense longer than him, right? I think it's just the fact of
everything else,
and he gets he needs to be challenged. That's what he's used to. And even though at his age, he's 45 years old, he's like, I don't want to get challenged by a coach anymore. Because every NFL player gets to that point in their life. They do. Where it's like, dude, I've been playing 5 years. I know how to play. I don't want you to cuss at me and yell at me and tell me this or that or whatever. So he's at that point, and he deserves to be. But the product shows that there's a difference now. Because this division that they're in, this is the same division with when I was there. Drew Brees, MVP, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer. Cam Newton, MVP, went to Super Bowl. Matt Ryan, MVP, went to Super Bowl. So our division, if you didn't win 10 games, you have no shot making the playoffs.
No shot.
And now you have teams that are 4-8, 5-8. You know what I'm saying? The division is awful, and you guys can't find a way to beat those teams. You couldn't beat the Carolina Panthers that
couldn't score a touchdown.
That don't know who the quarterback is. To me, and it's the same players. It's the same players, for the exception of Jordan White. It's the same guys. And so, for me, it's that is, and I don't want to call them out, but it's a coaching issue because the players are the same. The players are the same. So for me, it's a coaching issue, and they have to figure out in-house how. And it's tough to challenge a guy like Tom Brady, right? He makes more money than you. He's the same age as you. You know, Byron Leftwich.
I never thought about it like that.
Tom Brady. You know, so like people don't think about those kind of things where it's like, dude, like I played with this guy and he's still in the NFL playing at a high level, and he makes way more money than I do. So how do I come to him and tell him, hey, you're wrong?
I can't come at you like Joe Blow over there. I can't come at your neck like that.
Yeah, the older coaches can, because they're like, dude, I again, like Bruce Arians, you know, and I don't think he's the greatest coach ever, but he's like, dude, I coached Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck.
Oh, his resume speaks for itself.
Ben Roethlisberger. So hey, I don't mind telling you, dude, you stunk today. I don't mind going to the media and saying you stunk today. My first welcome to NFL moment, my first game, I had played right side pretty much my whole life, right guard, right tackle. We had some injuries. Coach says, hey, you're starting a left guard on Thursday before a Sunday game. And I was blocking the big boy who was on the Bears. He's on the Bucs now, Akeem Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
I was 295 pounds. He's 350 pounds, full of muscle. And coach said, you're playing left guard. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? And I did everything I could, and I thought I played a decent game, but I was not mentally quick enough because I didn't have my playbook down the way I needed to. After the game, to the press the next day, Derek Cutter went and said, I thought Caleb would play better because he's super, super talented, and I expected more from him, but he stunk yesterday. And that was in the paper, in the Tampa Bay paper. And I was like, oh, this is real. But it lit a fire in me to get better. And I started all the games after that for 3 years. So, like, you need somebody to challenge you sometimes. I just don't think that he has that, which, again, he's earned the right to, but the product speaks for itself.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody needs that. You brought that up. I think it was on a 30 for 30 story. They were talking about LT, and they're talking about the big tuna, how he motivated people. I think it reminds me of a story where LT wasn't particularly good against a left tackle. I don't remember the team. We'll just say it was the Jets. And he was like, hey, and LT looked in his locker and he said, what the hell is this? It was a plane ticket to San Diego or something like that. He's like, yeah. He's like, they didn't tell you? He was like, I was going to swap you out with the other guy from San Diego to go against this tackle because you don't do well against him. So I figured y'all could swap for a game. LT didn't like that. So he went out there. I think he had like couple sacks, couple tackles for losses in game. But yeah, you're right. It's small things like that you know how to push people's buttons to get them to the next level. Now, before I forget what I wanted was when I was putting a pin in that, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I do because it was an issue. All right. When Bruce Arians first came on scene, he said that he talks to everybody. He said, I'm going to treat you all with respect, but I'm going to treat you differently. Can you talk about the Gerald McCoy situation, how that all unfolded? Because there were so many mixed feelings about that. I mean, Gerald went on ESPN and he said Arians never talked to him. Then there's people, Arians came to him and told him he wasn't good enough with the pay he was making. What do you know about that, or what are you willing to speak on about that whole situation?
I'm glad to speak on this because I put my cape on for Gerald McCoy.
Well, wait, one more thing. Does Gerald belong in the Ring of Honor?
Gerald belongs in the Ring of Honor in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Continue. And he should be in the Ring of Honor before Bruce Arians. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
For, I want to say 9 years, 8 or 9 years, the only thing good about Tampa Bay Buccaneers was Gerald McCoy. He was one of the first guys to get a $100 million contract as a D tackle. He was the number 3 pick or number 2 pick in the draft.
Right after Sue. Mm-hmm.
Was one of the best tackles in the NFL. Was the best tackle in the NFL for years, setting records, making Pro Bowls, making All Pros. He was a problem. He gave me headaches for 2 years before I figured out how to block him, right? He's a superstar, and he is a nice guy. And the first thing when I realized that it's a business is how they treated him on his way out. Because this man, Gerald, first man in there. I think I'm coming early. I'll walk in there at 5:30. Gerald's walking out of the gym, full of sweat. He goes, well, because we have this little Texas, because I grew up in Texas, and we have this little Texas-Oklahoma beef, and we always make a bet every year for Texas-Oklahoma game. And so, like, I walk in, he's like, you thought you were going to beat me in here today, huh? And I'm like, I did, but he's already full of sweat because he was there for it, like on some Kobe stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of guy that he is. Like, he gave everything to our organization. And when the new staff came in, and obviously a new staff comes in, they bring their own guys.
Right.
Like, at my beast with all that stuff like that. And it happens, right? But the way they treated him, he wasn't at OTA. Gerald does not miss the OTAs since I've been there till year 4. And then he's not at OTAs because he's like, we're having contract disputes. You want me to take a pay cut, this, that, and other, all these other things. It was so messed up how they treated him. He had not left the team yet. They signed Ndamukong Suh and gave Ndamukong Suh his number.
Yep.
It's Gerald McCoy.
And
it's not Joe Schmo. It's Gerald McCoy. They gave Ndamukong Suh his number, and Ndamukong Suh had Rams gloves. And again, I love Suh. He's a great guy, right? When he's on your team, obviously. He had Rams gloves on for his team picture. You know, because he was.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like, he had Rams gloves on, and like me and Gerald talk about these things, and it's just like they treated him awful for a star at his caliber, you know, and they just put his stuff in trash bags, and you know, like, it's just no, like, they treated him awfully, and this is a lot of disrespect, and it's just bad. Like, the fact that they want to put in Bruce Arians to the Ring of Honor before they put Gerald McCoy in the Ring of Honor is a travesty, in my opinion.
No, I think you said a lot, and I want to speak on the last thing you just said first. I think they want to put Arians in there to try to get rid of the John Gruden thing because they took Gruden's down. Of course, yeah. It happened. Whatever with the email, whatever with the emails or whatever happened like that. But you're not judging them.
I'll say it like this. Let me check everybody's emails and check everybody's text messages and see who comes out clean. That's what I tell everybody. Let me check your emails and your text messages. Bruce Arians, give me all your text messages for the last 15 years. That was 10, 11 years ago. He wasn't even coaching. Nobody thinks the same now. You want to put that on him? I think it's again, I'll put my tin hat on. It's a greater conspiracy that they didn't want a lot of things to get out, so he was a scapegoat, and he's going to settle for a lot of money in the NFL.
Oh, he's going to get paid.
Because they have to, because they know that if they go to trial with him, it's going to be a lot of things to come out. But
if he starts,
John Gruden, say what you want about him, but to blame him for something that happened 10, 15 years ago is wrong. Because nobody thought that way 10, 15 years ago.
Hold on. Put pin in that real quick. Right. And look what just happened with Jerry Jones.
Exactly. And everybody's silent now. Nobody want to say nothing. Look at the Miami owner.
Yeah.
The Miami owner had his stuff, and they were just like, oh, we'll give you a $1.9 million fine, and you can't come to OTAs. He wasn't coming to OTAs anyway. What's $1.9 million to a billionaire? It's $100 to everybody else.
That's the strip club money.
So when it's the owners, it's I didn't see nothing. But then they want to crucify John Gruden, and you want to take him off the Ring of Honor? Come on, get out of here, bro. He won your Super Bowl. And again, I still think he won it with Tony Dungy's team, but he brought that team a Super Bowl, and that was Tampa's prominence. They were a good team for those years, you know? And so for me, it's just a bunch of what's the word I'm looking for? Virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Everyone's virtue signaling right now. And it's just for me, it's dumb. You don't take him off the Ring of Honor. He brought you a Super Bowl. If you're gonna put Bruce Arians in after 2 7-9 seasons and 1 Super Bowl with Tom Brady, then you need to keep John Gruden in there. And Gerald McCoy needs to be in there before Bruce Arians because he brought this
James
team.
Wilder. Yep, and James Wilder belongs in there. But I wanted to hear that from a player about Gerald McCoy belonging. But awesome. before that, the John Gruden part, I thought the same thing. I was like, I was blowing my mind how bad people were talking about Gerald McCoy and about he can't get sacks in primetime situations. Oh, he only shows up early in the games. All this, all that. I'm like, he shows training videos but doesn't do anything. I'm like, he's been a Pro Bowl player since he's been here. He's no disrespect to the other guys that were on there, but he really didn't have anybody else on that defensive line for years. I know for years never had anybody. Go ahead.
Let me tell y'all something. To you and to your fans. Numbers don't mean everything.
No.
There's guys who have 15 sacks, and when I go play them, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. And there's guys who have 5 sacks, And I'm like, there's going to be a long day because I watch film. And I know Gerald McCoy makes way more plays than just getting a sack. He's a D tackle, right? Aaron Donald is one of the best. He's one of the, I think he's top 2 defensive
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, top defensive all the time.
Yep.
He averages about 10 sacks a year.
Yep.
Gerald was getting 8 or 9 every single season, right? But the difference is they play different style of defense. And Gerald on run plays, you could not run a double team on him because his get off is so fast. His get off was so crazy. So, like, it's so much more than just being like, oh, Gerald didn't have 10 sacks. No, Gerald's give people nightmares. I've talked to other guys that played Gerald in his prime, and they were like, I used to have nightmares about playing him. There's like 4 or 5 guys in the NFL that guys lose sleep over. Right? When I played Aaron Donald, I lost sleep over it. You know? When you play, you know what I'm saying? When you play, he's for the Raiders now, John Jones' brother. Chandler Jones.
Taylor Jones.
Play Chandler Jones in his prime, you lose sleep over.
Oh God, he was whoo.
You're like, dude, this dude's a problem. And you see some players who's like a star left tackle, and they play this certain player, and they give a 4 sacks. You're like, wait, what happened? Like, and it's just like, no, this dude's that good.
People have your number. It happens.
It's that good. And so that's what Gerald was. And to disrespect him for me, I don't tolerate any Gerald disrespect at all. Because not only is he a superstar, not only is he
class act,
he's such a nice guy. Takes care of his teammates, does things for his teammates. He's friendly to everybody. He doesn't care if you are a a practice squad guy, whatever. He is an amazing guy. Like every week during camp, it was, hey, Gerald bought taco trucks so we can, have some food other than the food in the store. He brought ice cream and cones. Like that's the kind of guy that he is, right? Take you over to his house, hang out with you. Me and Gerald talk every single day. Dude is amazing. So I don't tolerate any Gerald McCoy slander.
And I remember that ice cream truck thing because people in media, this is why I got into media, because I wanted to try to do things differently. I wanted to try to get aspects from you guys that other people don't ask questions like that. And I never want to be a guy in this industry that wants to get my name out there for ruining your life. I don't want to do that.
A lot of guys, and it's sad. It's really, really sad. A lot of guys do. And I think that's a problem when Draymond Green says new media. He's talking about there's a way to criticize people without going at their person, without going at their person and their character.
There's a line. There's a line.
Criticize the game. Criticize what you see. But when you start talking about people and I'm not going to mention any names from the 4-letter networks, and you start giving guys nicknames and talking about them outside their name, like that's wrong. Criticize their play. Hey, he's not playing well. He did this in this game and this in that game and this, and that's wrong. We expect that because we signed up for this.
You signed up for that.
Up for a level of criticism, right? We understand.
Like trash, they're gonna talk about you.
Yeah. But when you start going to people's person and character, then it's like you're talking about something else. And I think one of the funniest things is somebody wrote a hit piece. I don't remember the column from the Tampa Bay. They wrote like a hit piece on Gerald McCoy, and we're talking trash about him, and called him something he didn't like. And Gerald responded on Twitter, and he said, "You could have said this to my face, but I'm gonna see you after practice tomorrow, and you can say it to me." Gerald does not talk about. Gerald doesn't cuss. No. Gerald McCoy doesn't say curse words.
No, he doesn't.
And he says, "I'm gonna see you after practice," because you can't talk about me like this and just think it's okay just because you think you're on media. I'm a man at the end of the day, and so I think a lot of people get a platform and trash on people for no reason because they think they're going to get views and clicks and they want views and clicks. But it's like, dude, that's a man at the end of the day. And you wouldn't say that to his face.
No.
Even like that thing with San Francisco, that one guy. And
Kinlaw.
Yeah.
Kinlaw got on the stream.
When he was like, hey, dude, I'm going to see you tomorrow. You wasn't saying that when I was there. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I think there's a respectful way to criticize. And there's a way to talk. And that's why I love that athletes more and more are getting into media, because they have a perspective that they can say, hey, you didn't play well, but I'm not going to attack you as a person. But a lot of people do that for clicks and views. I think it's wrong.
Yep, they sell out for clicks and views, and they don't care if they ruin your life or your sponsorships or things like that in the process of doing it.
And you got kids, bro. Like, this guy has kids. Your kids are going to see that. Your wife is going to see that. And, like, they're not in our life. They didn't sign up for you getting slandered. And so it's a whole different thing that you're not thinking about, and you're just saying things because you want to progress your career. And for me, it's wrong. Like, there's a way to criticize people when they do wrong and do bad.
It's that I want to be first, and they don't think about guidelines and everything. Everybody doesn't care how it gets out there. They want to be first to put it out, regardless of who it hurts. And just like you said, family members and everybody who they didn't sign up for that, they're there because they love that person. They're not there for you to boost your career off of.
And they also grew up how a lot of us grew up, and so they don't know what certain things you say garners a certain action.
Yep.
So you want to talk how you want to talk, but where I'm from, you say certain things, you got to back that up now.
Yep.
However you want to back it up, whatever that leads to, you got to back it up, right? And so they don't understand
those words.
You feel me? So that's a disconnect that happens. And so I just, I wish they would do better, and I appreciate guys who do better. And like, I'll just call them out right now, but Colin Cowherd. Mm-hmm. I love his takes. I love Colin Cowherd because Colin Cowherd, he does a segment and he says when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. When he's wrong, he goes and says, I'm wrong. And he never goes and says, he never attacks your person. He's like, hey, this guy didn't play well. I thought he played better. I was right about this. I was wrong about this. And so I appreciate that admittance of being wrong. And the guys who just want to do hot takes, I'm out on you. I'm out.
Yep, the hurt. Yeah, a lot of people, it's either you love or you hate the hurt Cowherd. Yeah, and I'm with you on that. Over time, I've started to like him. I'm like, I kind of like this guy.
I didn't used to. Now I do.
Same. Yeah, same thing. I gave him a chance. I just started watching his take. I got a feel of how he stands on things, and I rock with him. I've got no problem with it. I like listening to him, and he's funny. He likes throwing little punches and stuff out there. Yeah. Like him sitting on the back porch smoking a cigar and stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff.
And also
a little more personality.
Yeah, and since I started doing media, doing the radio show, to sit on TV for 4 hours and command attention is a hard thing to do.
Yes.
With no other guy, with nobody else, to sit there and have monologues back to back to back to back. It's a tough thing to do. And so that's also really impressive. And I started respecting him more when I started doing media and doing radio and things like that, because that's not easy to have no guests and just sit there and command attention for 4 hours and to be on the show for 10, 15 years. It's impressive, man. It's impressive.
It is, and it takes a lot of practice. A lot of people don't, like you said, what we talked about earlier about being a business owner, like you said, commanding attention for 4 straight hours while being entertaining and giving out accurate information. That's kind of hard to do. A lot of people can't do that, let alone public speak. And there's something I also want to talk about. I wanted to get Randy on here with you guys. I know your schedule's been crazy. Randy Graz, I'm sure you know who that is, played center with the Bucs from 83 to 92. He talks about athletes and recoveries and things like that and life after football, because I want you to talk about all your businesses and stuff you got out there. But how is football, like how is life after football? Like CTE still comes up and stuff like that. Do you deal with any of the issues like that and all that?
Okay, the CTE thing, I'll start with that. What I understand from it is if you get to play football to this level, college, NFL, the amount of head trauma you're going to deal with, everybody has CTE. It's like 99%. It is. That's just the reality of it. That's the truth about it. But there's a certain percent of people who have the genetics that their CTE leads to something else that's more traumatic.
Okay.
Right? And that's the studies, that's the things that I've learned just from playing the football. And there are things like short-term memory loss, like I'll be talking to somebody and I'll forget what I'm talking to right at the time I'm talking to them. Like that happens. Like it happens. But I will say this about CTE. Every football player knows what we signed up for. It's a dangerous sport. But I have a chance to be my family. My people are good. I'm good. My friends are good. Right? So we signed up for it. So I'm not here saying, if anybody was like, oh, my son will never play football, this, that, and the other, I'm like, you're being dumb. You're being dumb. Everybody is not, doesn't have the proclivity to go, again, like do something tragic. I'm not going to mention what it is, but like do something tragic. Like that, those things are sad. But it can happen at any job. If you're carrying boxes at Walmart, you can get injured doing that. You can get anything can happen, right? I have a chance to feed my family, and I signed up. I know how dangerous it is. On your helmet, it literally tells you the dangers of football. Like, we understand it, but we have a chance to take care of our family, And I don't know any man that will not take an opportunity to make millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to take care of their family. And so I'm completely okay with it. I do understand the dangers of it. And CTE sounds awful and it is a bad thing, but everybody doesn't have the proclivity to go and, do those extra really, really dangerous things.
Right.
But it is like, yeah, you're going to have brain issues. Like we hit our heads, like go bang your head on the wall 80 times a day. Right. Like it's going to happen. Put a helmet on and can bang your head on the wall. It's going to happen. It just is what it is. But, I think the NFL is doing a great job in trying to protect players, right? The one thing I will want to say is they should make all fields grass and no more turf fields. If you want to add into player protection, because turf is when I was
tears my knees up.
Exactly. When I was in college, I loved turf because I had young knees and I was a young guy. When I got to the NFL, if I play on turf, my knees hurt for 5 days. And so I think that's the next step in making all fields grass and figuring that out with the logistics of stadiums. But I think they're doing a good job. And I like that conversation should be, I like that it's getting had, but it's kind of overblown. It's kind of overblown. We are protected. They're changing helmets every single year. They're making better helmets, and we knew what we signed up for. We know what we signed up for. It's not an easy game. My back hurts every day. My knees hurt every day. Get over it. But I made a lot of money. Where else will you make $1 million at 20 years old?
Not much.
Yeah, there's nowhere. Some people don't make $1 million for their whole life. I got that at 20. So I'm not going to sit here and bash them because of head injuries and things like that. It's dangerous. And guys retire for head injuries, and things like that happen. And when it's your time, it's your time. But I think it is a serious topic, but I think that they are doing a good job of handling it. And I think most players who do their research and do the due diligence understand, what it is and the risks that go into it. And hey, we all are going to have this. We all have CTE, right? But some people have the certain genetics that it leads to something else. And if you find that out, I think the next step will be finding out if you have that proclivity for those things, right? If they can find out and do tests on players and see if, okay, you have the proclivity for this, okay, you need to be more careful. If you have a concussion, you probably shouldn't play anymore, right? But I played football, since I was 10 years old. I'm 28 years old right now, 18 years, right?
Didn't your mom originally want to sign you up for soccer?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
You're Nigerian, right?
Yeah, I am Nigerian. Born in Nigeria. I moved to Houston when I was 9 years old and in Katy when I was 10. I started playing football when I was 10. And we thought I just heard football, and football to me is soccer.
Right.
So she signed me up for football thinking it was soccer. And, I went there with the wrong equipment, and my coach told me, luckily the first practice was no pads. Right. And I got to go out there and, do my thing. And I'm thankful he's passed away now, but I'm thankful for that coach because he made sure he literally came to my house the next year and was like, hey, your son has to sign up because this kid's talented. And I'll tell you a story. When I got to high school, right? So I was always a big kid, but I didn't really get big till I found out McDonald's existed, right? When I got to the US. So
McDonald's sponsor this man.
Exactly. So my 8th grade year, I was 5'9", probably 220, which is a big 8th grader. No, sorry. Yeah, which is a big 6th grader. My 9th grade year, from 5'9", I went to 6'3" as a freshman in high school. I was 6'3", 270. We had our first day of freshman camp, and you have to do both sides. Everybody does both sides. So you can see
find out where you fit at. Yep.
And I was a D tackle my whole life. D tackle and fullback. And I love Glenn Dorsey, and I wanted to be like Glenn Dorsey, right? Throwback, because people don't remember Glenn Dorsey. And so I want to be a D tackle. And the head coach of my 7 Lakes high school football team came up to me, and he said, hey, Caleb, I know you want to play D tackle. He says, if you play offensive line, you will be a millionaire. Those were his exact words to me. And I said, that sounds pretty good. I'll try it out.
Why not?
10 years later.
He wasn't lying.
And so again, like I said, we all understand, we understand the risks, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't do anything different.
I mean, what was you like when you first got your check? I'm sure you were like,
baby, yeah.
Oh my goodness, what? Also, okay, this is a segue, and then you might want to talk about this, but like, I love the fact that these kids are getting NIL deals, and Caleb Williams, say what you want about him, what he did with his nails, right? That's the younger generation. I'm not going to comment on him. I love the fact that Caleb Williams is getting $4 million a year to play football in college, because there were days where I had to drink muscle milk because I was starving in college. And people are like, oh, you can't give kids these money these days. You can't give a young guy, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, $1 million. I'm just like, what's the difference if these kids never had nothing? When they're 18, they didn't have nothing until they're 21. If you give them $30 million when they're 21, what do you think they're going to do with it? They're going to blow it. But if you give it to them when they're 18, they might blow it, but they're going to learn 18, 19, 20. So when they get 30 million when they're 21, they're like, oh, I had millions already. I made money already. In every other profession, if you go to soccer, Leo Messi played his first game in Barcelona when he was 16 years old. Yeah. If you go to tennis, Serena Williams was a pro when she was 15 years old. All these people got money really, really young, and they are doing just fine. So I would rather give kids money young and give them a chance to learn. Yes, spend it. You never had nothing. You're from the inner city. You're broke. Yeah. You're going to spend money on things. You are, because you never had anything. So I am a full supporter of the NIL. Give kids all the money they want. Let them learn. If they want to spend it, let them spend it.
That's on them.
So when they get to the NFL, when they get to the next life, they understand money and how to deal with it and how fast it goes and all these things like that. So when people tell me all these things like, I just don't think kids should get that kind of money right now, and you should, you this, that. I'm just like, dude, like, you know what you're talking about.
Everybody wants to count
money is different. But like, yeah, put money in their pockets. These kids in college are broke because everybody else can work. We used to not be able to work.
Right.
I couldn't even get a job because they say it's illegal.
It's illegal. Correct.
They would tell you, oh, when I was in school, like, oh, we can give you a bagel, but we can't give you cream cheese. That's too much. Like, the stupid rules while the NCAA is making billions of dollars a year. Like, get out of here. Give the kids the money. If they mess it up, let them mess it up. When they get to the NFL, they'll know better. Right? So I'm full support of NIL deals and kids and making money and everything. Like, I love it. I really, really do. I love that these kids have cars. Let them get a Lambo. Yes, he earned it. He's making that school hundreds of millions of dollars. So give him $2 million. Cool. I had a communications class I took, and I did a study on Johnny Manziel, and everybody was hating on Johnny Manziel at the time because I live like an hour away from A&M. So I wanted to go to A&M, but they had too many stars on their offensive line. So I was like, no, I want to play. I want to play as a freshman. So I didn't go there. I did a study on Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel in his what's recorded, I'm sure he got some more. What's recorded, he probably made like $8,000 or $100,000 on autographs, whatever it was. He made his school $130 million in jersey sales and ticket sales. The way he played after he beat Alabama twice, they built their stadium was a horseshoe. They closed the stadium up, spent hundreds of millions of dollars that he earned to close their stadium up and get more fans to make more money. And you want to suspend him? Yep. And you want to say he can't make any money? To me, that is the ridiculous part. And to call the college kids amateurs is ridiculous to me. They're not amateurs. They're making money for everybody. The only way these schools run is through football money. Because schools ain't making profits like that. They're not. So the only way to make these schools run is through football money. Football subsidizes basketball in probably 90% of college programs. They subsidize all women's sports, right? And so to say that these kids don't deserve money is crazy. It's crazy. And I'm happy that they make it. And even when older guys say things like, I don't want these kids to, like, oh, like if I was in school, I'm like, no, because my son is going to be there. And I can't wait for my son to get his check when he's in college. And so, like, for me, like, I love that. And I love that they're doing that right now.
Reminds me of that old movie, The Program. I'm not sure if you ever saw that.
Heck yeah, I saw that.
Okay, yeah, because it talks about stuff like where a linebacker was teaching him about the money and all that stuff, how it works. And the people, give you checks because you ain't making no money and you're putting your body on the line. And lo and behold, you get hurt on the field, you're pretty much done. So now your career's got changed. So there was a lot of things that's prevalent in that movie today. Now it's just you just reminded me what you were telling me.
Dude, we were in school, and we were in UCLA. Our check when I was in school was $1,800 a month, right? My rent was my rent was $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom in LA. I went to UCLA, so my rent was $3,000 a month. So me and my roommate each get $1,800. So I had $300 to live on the rest of the month. We're not talking about bills, light bill yet,
gas, dating,
water,
going on a date,
food, going on dates, and then they didn't pay you in the summer because technically in the summer you're not in school.
Correct.
You're in summer program. So we went to our athletic program, whatever, and we were like, hey, like we need money to pay our rent, and they said we'll give you guys a loan max of $400 for an 8-week period in the summer, and then you guys got to figure out the rest. And I said, so how are you going to tell us not to take money when you're going to give us a loan that I have to pay back? I'm in college. I can't work. So the system was messed up for so long, so long. Like, of course guys are going to take money. Of course they will. I want to live. Yeah, I want to live. I want to have a regular life. I want to be able to eat. My mom don't got money. I can't ask her for money, you know? And so people who hate on kids right now for getting what they want to.
They ain't gone through it.
They ain't went through it. They ain't went through it, you know? So I love it. I love it for them. I love it for them. Like the college kids have it hard than NFL guys. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Like waking up 5 in the morning, going to practice, going to the gym first, then going to practice. Then you have class all day. Yep. Then you have study hall.
And you have homework.
Meetings. You have all this. In the NFL, I'm getting paid, and all I got to do is go to meetings and go to practice and play the game. Cool. I have way more time in the NFL than I had in college. College football, college basketball, college sports is hard. It is hard. And you still got to study and pass your tests so you can be eligible.
Yep. So you don't get on probation.
Exactly. And so, like, they have it really, really hard, and I'm happy those kids are getting paid. It's awesome.
No, it is a good thing that it changes because these stories right here don't ever get told. The stories get told is what you said before. Oh, these kids don't need the money. They're getting everything handed to them. Says who? Matter of fact, you bring up a good point. I'm not sure what you did before your draft process. Did you come up here to Orlando to go to Tom Shaw's camp? Did you come up here at all?
No. So my pre-draft things, I went to Exos in Arizona.
Okay.
Trained out in Exos, and I worked with Bruce Matthews as well throughout my whole career. Awesome guy, Hall of Famer, super awesome. Worked with him, and but I was at Exos in Arizona. It was great.
I was bringing that because my good buddy, especially we're gonna have Christmas dinner with him. Him with Tom Shaw, my buddy Frank Byer. He was actually I had him on the radio and on the show one time or a few times with one of the couple former guys that was with the camp with him. And Dak still goes out there with Tom Shaw. He's in Daytona now, but it wasn't Orlando. Anyways. Frank would always tell me these stories because he's trained so many people, Tom Brady to Calvin Johnson. All these guys have gone through that. And Calvin was going to be a first-round pick and went to that. He didn't have to, and Calvin was going to still be a pick. But my point was Frank would tell me that these kids would come up here with no money. And so Frank said, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. He's like, he was a great kid. He said he had no money. Nobody was helping him out. He said he was literally eating protein powder to get calories to eat. He was eating protein powder. Yeah. And I was like, wait. I was like, Marcus? We was talking about Marcus. Me and Marcus went to school together. Marcus is now, Hall of Fame at Appalachian State. I was like, Marcus? He was like, yeah. He's like, he didn't have nothing. He had nothing to eat. He had to eat protein powder. I would get him extra food. I would do all this other stuff like this. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I didn't realize it was, like that. You don't hear these stories. You let the media tells everybody what's happening, but you're not actually hearing these stories from the guys that are actually doing it.
I think when things started to change was when the kid from UConn, not that kid is a grown man now, from UConn, the basketball guy. Oh, I don't know if you remember him.
I know you talking about. You're telling that story. Yep. They won the championship.
Yeah. They won the championship, and he said, y'all all happy, and school's happy, and everybody made this money. He was like, we're hungry.
Yep.
So we're starving. And then after that, the NCAA did some PR stuff, and like now it was like, okay, we can have eggs with our bagels. Like now we can have training table all day instead of just once in the morning. Like, and so like it's good that the change happened because people speak up. That's why I speak up on things. Mm-hmm. But like it shouldn't take that for you to treat people right. These people are making you hundreds of millions of dollars every single year.
Shouldn't be an issue.
You're treating them like crap, and you're telling people in the media that oh, I paid for your room and board. Just shut up.
That's it.
I'm making you hundreds of $1 million. We're winning football games. Fans are flooding into the stadiums. And you're telling
TV
me
money.
I paid for your room and board. You should be okay. Well, man, get out of here. I love that they're making money, man. I love that the kids are getting it. And let them mess up. Let them buy an expensive car. I don't care. Let them do it. Let them mess it up. And when they're 22, 23 years old, they've already done that. So now, hey, I've gone to my face. Because every player that I know a lot of players that I've played with and that I know, when they first got into the NFL, because they had nothing before that, they spent a boatload of money. And then after a year or two, they're like, hey, I got it on my system. I have everything I could ever want. I have all my shoes. I have all my clothes. So now I'm like, okay, cool. Let me get my house. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me save. Let me stack it up. Let me invest, right? If you start the process earlier, it could only help. It cannot hurt.
No,
stop thinking that that's a child and you have to cuddle them. Like, these guys are making millions of dollars for a program. Like, let them make their mistakes. You made your mistakes. Why can't they? So that mentality for me is just dumb.
Yep. Thank you. They say everybody puts their expectations on an 18, 19 year. I'm like, he's not 40 years old. He's 19.
Yeah,
he does not have the same thinking as you. Of course he does.
When you were 19, you weren't making millions for nobody.
Yeah.
You weren't playing in front of hundreds. And I tell people all the time, you don't understand the pressure of what it is to play, to do anything in front of 100,000 people. Imagine, I tell people all the time, imagine if you're doing your job and there's 100,000 people watching you type your letter and you type a wrong word, everybody starts booing you. Everybody starts booing you.
Yeah.
Type one, you have to backspace one time, you started getting booed.
It's quick.
Yeah, you're getting booed now. Like, you don't understand what that's like. You don't understand that pressure. And like, a lot of guys can't handle that pressure. I've seen guys who look great in practice, and when game time comes, they can't perform because there's too much pressure. Again, like NBA bubble, you saw guys who you've never seen before scoring 40 points. Like, where did this come from? There's no fans. There's no pressure. So like, I'm like, you don't understand. Let these kids live their life. Let these young men, I'm not going to call them kids, let these young men live their lives and do what they got to do. And don't worry about it. You enjoy the product, watch the game, and move on. And that's it. You're a fan. Watch the game, move on. I'm a fan now. I watch the game, and I move on. When I do media, I speak on what I see, but I don't speak on anybody's person because I don't know them. Mm-hmm. So I speak on the game, and I leave it at that. And, so I just like people and their thought processes sometimes, it upsets me.
Yep. We were talking about college football. I was looking at our list. Transfer portal and Deion Sanders. I know you got some big feelings in that since we're talking about paying players and now kids can move around just like coaches. I was just reading a thing from my old coach, Richard Bailey. He was just posting on there about that, if I'm gonna actually pull it up. He says kids with the transfer portal, he said before you didn't know if you could trust the coach coming to your house saying if your kid was going to start or not, and we're knowing he wasn't actually going to, because you're not going to go into a house and tell a player that he's never going to actually start because there's players better than him. And then you finally get this kid to come to your school. Then lo and behold, this guy leaves to go to another school. And now you're there with the coach that recruited you. So a lot of people, there's mixed feelings on this transfer portal. Let's hear yours.
Okay. So you touched on a lot of points. Mm-hmm. I like to talk. So I love the transfer portal. I call it free agency.
That's what it is.
I call it free agency.
College free agency. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. College free agency.
College free agency, because coaches have always been allowed to leave at a whim, and there's no repercussions. My coach can leave and go to University of Oregon. He can go to Texas. He can do whatever he wants to do whenever he wants, and a new staff is going to come in and bring their guys, and then I have to sit a year out of my eligibility if I were to transfer. So now kids can say, hey, I'm not playing here. Or, hey, I went to a lesser school and I'm too good for your school. Maybe I didn't get the looks I was supposed to because I was in Idaho and I went to Idaho Western Tech and now I'm a star. Alabama wants me. They want me to start. I'm going to go to Alabama and get more eyes on me so I can make more money. Like, because the coach from Alabama Western Tech can leave and get a job at Colorado. Deion Sanders can leave from Jackson State and go to Colorado, right? And I'm thankful for Deion. Okay, let me get on a little tangent here. I think the transfer portal is great. I think it's really, really amazing because I think it gives college players the flexibility they need because coaches have flexibility.
Correct.
Contracts are guaranteed.
Now it gives the players power.
Now it gives the players some power. So, okay, hey, you want to leave? I'm going to leave too. Caleb Williams said, Oklahoma, you don't want to play me? You don't want to do what I want to do? I'm going to go to USC with the coach that I signed up with, and I'm going to go play for him, right? People forget, Kyler Murray transferred from Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
He went with his coach. He had to sit out a year.
Joe Burrow left Ohio State.
Joe Burrow left Ohio State because they didn't want to play him. And there is no Ohio State quarterback in the history of Ohio State that is better than Joe Burrow, and you can argue with me about that.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow is a superstar. He is a superstar. No Ohio State quarterback in their history has done what he's done, and they wouldn't play him.
Nope.
And so for me, like, it gives players flexibility. So I love the transporter. Give players it makes the coach have to prove his word. When you go in there,
what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah. When I go into, I'm gonna be a coach. When I go into somebody's room and I say, "Hey, this is what's gonna happen for you. What's gonna happen for your kid?" Okay, now you got to prove it because I will leave.
Yep.
I'll go somewhere else where they're gonna have me play, and so I love it. And then on the Deion Sanders topic, people are giving him flack, and I don't understand why. And I want your take on this too. I do not understand why you're giving this guy flack because you're saying,
"Oh, it's not about the kids; it's about the money." I'm like, "What you count this man's pockets for? What you count his pockets for?"
Deion Sanders gave half his salary to rebuild their facilities.
They don't talk about that though.
This man leveraged his own position as being Deion Primetime Sanders to get NIL deals, to get suits for his kids, to do all these things for his players. Nobody talked about HBCUs 4 years ago.
They weren't on television. They weren't on nothing.
They were ESPN primetime games. Jackson State is playing. Jackson State's players. They got the number one recruit in the country. And now he says, okay, hey, I did this for you. Now I'm going to elevate my career. And you're mad at him? Like, dude, I just think people are just insane and crazy sometimes, and they don't think about what they would do in that situation. Put yourself in that person's shoes. What do? You don't stay there. They're paying him $300,000 a year. Colorado's going to pay him $5 million a year. Mm-hmm. You would leave too. If your job says, hey, I'm going to pay you $100,000. You're there for 3 years. You do really, really well. And if Apple comes and say, hey, I'll pay you $2 million, you will leave your job. You will leave your job. So don't sit there and again, like I said, that word I used.
Virtual
signaling. Yeah. Yes. Like, don't virtue signal. You're like, oh, like, do it for the culture. He's doing it for the culture. Everybody talks all the time about black coaches getting big time coaching jobs. And now a black coach gets a big time coaching job and you're hating on him. Now you're mad at him, right? Like, let him go do that and be great. And I loved his speech. I posted this on Instagram yesterday. I loved his speech when he said, hey, if y'all don't want to win,
go ahead, jump in that portal.
He says, because I'm bringing my bags with me and they Louis.
Yep.
He said, I'm bringing my bags with me and they Louis. So if you don't want to be fast, strong, have character, do what I want to do, if you're not that guy, leave. And people got mad at that. I'm just like, no, that's how my coaches talk to me my whole life.
That's setting the standard.
That's how my coaches talk to me my whole life. I had a coach that lined us all up and he said, hey, you're a freshman, you're a junior, and you're a third stringer. You're not going to ever play here because I'm replacing you. I used to walk in the offensive line room after he had a bad game, and my coach would have the rivals. Rivals is like a football. I know you know, but I want to tell people. Rivals is like a football program where the top players are at, right? Mm-hmm. And he'd be like, oh, these are the guys I'm recruiting. You have 4 or 5 stars up. They're coming to replace you. What are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? And
you gonna fold?
If you're a man, it should light a fire in you. Like, he ain't replacing me. I was a freshman All-American. The person who was in front of me was a freshman All-American. I came and took his job. So, like, this whole thing about, like, oh, like, he's being mean and whatever, I'm like, y'all are soft. Like, he's being honest. Like, I want to win. You went 1-11. I want to bring players in here who want to win. So,
you want to win or make people happy.
If you don't want to compete, he's like, go on ahead. As you should. That's life. If you're not producing at your job, they're going to replace you. So, go on ahead. So I loved it. It got me hyped. I was watching this. I was sent to all my friends when I watched his press conference. Sent to everybody. I'm like, this makes me hype. Like, this makes me hype. I love that he's doing that. I love that a former player has reached the heights that he has, because he was a great player. And to reach the heights that he has in coaching and to keep going. And I hope he leaves Colorado and he replaces Nick Saban someday. You know, I want him to.
I was thinking it'd be Dabo. Okay, I mean, what that, because Dabo won a national title with Alabama on there. That's the only person I could really see going there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the all-time perfect scenario would be him to go to Florida State, you know, and kind of turn that program back around. Even though they had a good year this year, they did well this year.
This is one of the better years they've had in a while.
You know. So like, I'm hyped for Deion, man, and I love it. I love what he's doing. I love what he's teaching kids. He's saying like, hey, no phone. You got to wear suit and tie when we travel. Don't wear no cutoff shirts in your classrooms. Like he's not just being a coach. He's growing men. Like he's
changing the way you think. That's what he always says. Changing the way you think.
He's growing men, and he showed Jackson State that you can be more than what you thought you could be. You know, and he left a great foundation for that program. And so for me, like, I don't understand the outrage. I don't understand what being mad is. Like, oh, he lied to these kids. No, the kids he signed, they're coming with him.
Yeah, they on the plane with him.
Travis Hunter is going to Colorado, and Travis Hunter is going to be a first-round pick if he keeps playing the way he was playing, right? You know, his son is going to be a draft pick, right? His son, they were talking about him for the Heisman as a HBCU player. Right. When was the last time you saw that?
Never.
Right? Never. And so for me, it's just like, I think people are kind of short-sighted and they don't really understand the things in the bigger picture. And like he's doing great things, but like I want your kind of take on it.
Yeah, I'm totally 100% on with Deion doing what he does. Everybody, because I have to separate myself sometimes, because I always think like a player, and that's the way I always think. That's why I always have great conversations with players, because I don't think like a media player. I think like a player, but I try to remember that I'm doing media stuff. So with that being said, being a former player coaching, you know, the first thing you want to do is you want to coach at your alma mater. The world was mad at Deion because he didn't want to go back to Florida State and do anything with him. He had a bigger picture in mind. Deion, ever since back in his heyday, he's changed his life around for God and doing everything. He's changing himself as a man himself. So what better person to train somebody to be a better man than a man training himself to be a better man? And that's exactly what he's doing with these kids. These kids, you and I'm not sure if you have both your parents, but a lot of people didn't. You only have single parent homes. You're there, but you basically raise yourself by a lot of time. You go back and forth to school on your own. You have no teacher there, so you rely on coaches. You rely on other people that are your father figures in your life. If you don't have uncles or whatever that is, everybody's scenario is different, but a lot of people that you're coaching that is teaching you to be a man, let alone a better football player. And that is the things that he is teaching it. I just want to put out there, you know, an average white person wouldn't understand that because you don't grow up in that neighborhood. Granted, yes, you have single parent homes and white homes. I'm not saying that, but it's a repeated thing in the Black community. It's a fact. It's not me being biased. It's a fact. And the issue is he's training them, like you said, training your thought. Don't be wearing baggy pants to the meetings. Your pants sagging off your ass and doing all this other stuff. Change the way you think. Just like when Takeoff died, he said, you cannot go back to the hood and hang with dudes like you did before. You're not that same person. You've changed. It's not saying that, I don't know Caleb anymore because I did this. No, I still know. Still know Caleb. I still love Caleb, but I cannot roll in the streets with you anymore like that. So what I need to do is to change Caleb's way he's thinking and get him off of that stuff that he's on to get a better life for. So the average person wouldn't understand that unless you were in that situation or have the mental capacity to understand that the level of thinking needs to change, and that's what he's done at Jackson State. Granted, he cannot change what Jackson State is. You know, they don't want to become an FBS school or whatever the rumor was that they didn't want to do or whatever they got going on. He can't change that. There's only so much you can grow as far as that, but moving and trying to change the mental minds of especially young Black athletes, white athletes as well, changing the way they think and furthering himself as a coach in the process. That is what's going on. That is what you're talking about as far as there's a bigger picture than just coaching.
Yeah. He said everybody who's with you ain't really with you. I think I'm paraphrasing, but like that's a fact. Like people get mad in your city when you succeed, and you see that with our rappers dying, left and
Crabs
right.
in the barrel.
You know what I mean? And so it's like everybody's really with you. And I think it's so important. Like when you're a head coach of a football team, especially in college, because when you get to the NFL, a lot of those guys are grown men and they have their own lives and everything like that. But in college and high school, it's so important to understand, like, you are a lot of kids' father figures. Like, you are a lot of kids' father figures. And so you have a responsibility not only to grow them as players, but as men, and to show the right example. And I think he's doing a phenomenal job. Okay, I'll tell you a little backstory. The day I fell in love with football was the 2005 season, but it was 2006 championship, when the University of Texas won the championship against USC. Funny enough that I ended up going to UCLA and whooping USC for my years there. But that's the year I fell in love with football, and I loved Vince Young, and I loved Mac Brown, and me and Mac Brown talk from time to time to this day. And
Mac Brown, go Tar Heels.
Oh yeah, he's awesome, dude. I love Mac Brown. And the only reason I didn't go to University of Texas because Mac Brown, I knew he was going to retire because I have some friends on the booster club, so I knew he was going to retire, so I didn't go to UT. But Mac Brown said something after they won a championship game, and he said, "I know this is a great moment in your life, but," he says, "don't let this be the best moment of your life." He says, "I want you guys to be better fathers, better sons, better husbands." You know, like, he was like, "This is an amazing moment. You won a national championship. This is a great moment, but this should not be the best." And that's what I think a coach should be. Like, you're not just coaching me for football. It's life. It's life lessons. I think sports teach people about life. A lot of people who don't play sports, when something hard happens in life, they don't know how to deal with it. Fold. Yeah. They fold, like my boy says, they fold like a lawn chair. They don't know how to handle it. Like, when hard times come, I'm like, I've been here before. I've been in hard times. I've been running 110s in 100-degree weather, throwing up, and I got to finish because my teammates need me to finish. Because if I don't finish, they're not going to trust me. And so, like, I think all that stuff is really, really, really important. And I love what Deion is doing, and I hope he continues to have success. I hope he, wins a national championship. I don't want Colorado because UCLA is leaving the Pac-12, so Colorado can have success in the Pac because we'll be out of there in a couple of years. I don't want them beating UCLA, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only time could tell with Deion, and right now the trend is pointing upward. And so I'm interested to see what other recruits he's going to get now they're at Colorado. So the transfer portal is looking good for him. I think he's bringing 13 to 18 players with him. So they're definitely going to change the culture there. So it's going to be fun to watch at least that part of it, to see how they change and see if it changes with anybody else, any other Black former athletes or any athletes want to come in the HBCUs and try the same thing. So maybe Deion started a trend moving forward.
Yeah, that running back from Alabama actually tweeted at him, and I was like, "Hey,
Gibbs?"
Yeah, I think so. I think that's his name. I don't know, but like he tweeted at him. He was like, "Hey, you got a room for me?" He's already getting players from Bama to want to come to Colorado.
Yeah, Gibbs.
Bama don't recruit you unless you're a 4 or 5 star. So
from what I've heard from players, he takes scholarships if you're not playing.
That's not allowed anymore. Legally, he can run you out. That's what coaches do. If you can't play, they'll figure out a way to run you out. But like I think in 2015, they changed the rules because before your scholarship was year to year. Now it's a 4-year contract because they used to be able to take your scholarship after a year, but now it's year to year. But I have a question for you, and I want your thoughts on this because this is something that's been, for my culture, has been weighing on my heart that I need to talk about.
Go for it.
World Cup in Qatar, right? There's been a lot of negative things being said. This is one of the best. I don't know how familiar you are with soccer. This is one of the best World Cups in the last, 15 years. Like teams that, like, it's top teams are losing. Like it's great games, great matches. Everything's been amazing. But all anybody wants to talk about is what Qatar is doing with. And again, you don't got to touch on these specific topics about like gay rights and LGBTQ rights and how the country feels about certain things and their laws and workers' rights and things like that. And my stance on it is we are not perfect as, if you're an American, if you're British, if you're whatever. Like there are laws that our country has that other countries that most countries don't agree with, right? So if you're going to go to somebody else's home, if you're going to go to their country, like abide by their rules, right? because they're not coming here and telling you to follow their rules, right?
Correct.
Everybody is different. I'm from Nigeria. I lived here. I've been all over the world. Like, everywhere is different. And like, so you can't go to, and again, like even the Brittany Griner situation, like, and everybody's like, oh, like Brittany shouldn't be in jail. And I don't think she should be in jail for a cartridge, but she broke their laws.
She knew that. She's been there several times. She's not new. She's not new.
If somebody comes here and breaks our laws, you know, they will go to jail, and you wouldn't be mad if they went to jail. You'd be like, yeah, broke our laws. So why is the rules different? Yeah, why are our people going there? Why are British people going there, and people from the Western civilization going there and telling them like, no, you're wrong. We should not have a World Cup here again. This has been an amazing World Cup. They built like 6 or 7 stadiums that are beautiful, state of the art. Most World Cups cost to host like, I think 40 million. The Qatars paid like $1 billion to host a World Cup, to be over the top, to make it amazing. And it's been great. And so for me, it's like, why are we, again, virtue signaling to everybody else and not understanding that, like, hey, look, everyone is different. It's here. People have different views than you. That's okay. Like, it's okay. And I'm going to sit here and like get into a political debate, but like, it's okay to feel how you feel and understand that, hey, these people feel different, but I can enjoy this game. I can enjoy sports. We're here for sports. We're not here to be it's not politics time.
You're not here for that.
Yeah, we're here for sports. And so for me, it's been really, really upsetting, especially because like I'm Nigerian and I know the Nigerian laws. And like, again, like, okay, so I'll give you a little background. In Nigeria, if you want to get a divorce, it's a 2-year waiting period. Mm-hmm. And everybody leaves with whatever they came with. That's how it goes in America. A Nigerian person's not going to come here and be like, oh, your divorce laws are wrong. Women and men suck, this, that, and the other. No, like, I'm in this country, I'm going to follow their laws. So it's been really upsetting to me that how great the games have been is overshadowed everybody in media.
That's what sells.
I don't like this and I don't like that. And it's really, really upsetting because you're overshadowing these great games, you know?
That's what sells. They love to sell misery. They love to sell.
Man.
They love to sell the diversity. They love to sell that, and that's why we said at the beginning, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And granted, I could probably make a lot of money doing that type of stuff and ruining lives. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So I mean, that goes back to that. That's why I brought that up. But that's what sells. It overshadows all the great things going on because people are so drawn to drama. People are so drawn to negative things like that, and they will quickly dismiss everything else good going on for that negative thing. And you said it just right. Like I said, when I brought up you're Nigerian, I dated a girl for a couple of years. She was from Uganda. I learned a whole lot about cultures and stuff out there, marriages, rights, the way they see views and men and women and things like that. Men's the head of the household, stuff like that. Of America. Now you try to do the everybody's equal thing now, but still trying to have old-fashioned values, however that works. But that's why there's such a mess here with everything about the way everybody views everything. And then here you can't say everything because you're hurting everybody's feelings. You can't say your opinion and things like that. Granted, you're not trying to hurt the feelings. You're just saying how you feel on that. And a lot of people don't want to listen. So they just take whatever 2-3 words you said and they'll just say it's simple in this conversation, and then you twist it to how it fits your narrative, but you didn't actually listen to the message of what I'm actually trying to say. It's like that. It's like, I'm not against it. That's not what we support. But back on the soccer thing, yes, you cannot have American values and you can have American values, but you can't have American rules and stuff like that and try to throw them on somebody else in the country. That is the point of going over there, to experience how they live. Granted, however laws that whatever they got, you may not like them or whatever. Maybe you should Google it and learn what they have going on there before you go there and learn what's going on. So you don't go there and say, oh, I didn't know this. What they got this going on. Educate yourself. You have a phone in front of you that you have unlimited amounts of information. You can learn about stuff before you even go there and see if that's a situation you want to put yourself in to begin with.
Exactly. And like, for me, one of the most bothering things is these countries in their media, Western countries in their media, are like pushing this narrative that it's so bad over there. It's so bad. This country is so bad. All this and the other thing. While your countries have relationships for years and get oil from these countries and get resources from these countries.
I know where you're going with this.
And on top of that, you still sent your team over there. If you think it's so bad, why did you send your team over there? Boycott. If you want to really boycott the World Cup and boycott this country, why send your team over there? But you did. Bad. But you did because it makes you money, and it gets your country notarization, right? So enjoy it and say, hey, we have our differences, but the games are great because the games have been amazing. And I'm not on one side or the other. I just want people to be honest. I don't want virtue signaling. I don't want people to just be like, oh, like this is the cool thing to do right now, so let's push this narrative. I want people in media to be like, hey, like the games are great. Let's talk about the sport because the games have been amazing. I've watched 90% of them. They have been amazing, right? Almost cursed. Like Spain, Japan getting as far as they did, Brazil doing amazing and dancing, and this clown, and he was a great player. I think Roy Keane. He was on there talking about like, I don't like how Brazil is dancing after every goal. I'm like, have you ever watched Brazil play? Because they dance after every goal, their whole life.
It's not new.
Ronaldinho, Robinho, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldo, all those guys, they dance after every goal. That's their culture. It's samba culture. Joga Bonito, sexy soccer, that's what they do. And so, like, for people to act like they don't understand these things and to,
never did any homework to begin with.
Yeah, and to downplay culture, I'm just like, everybody doesn't feel how you feel. And that's okay. You can say, okay, I don't agree with you, but it's okay. But to sit there and be like, oh, I don't like this, and you don't do that, well, like the way I do, I'm just like, dude, it's ridiculous. It really, really bothers me. Like, I also had an issue with the NFL for a long time in college football when you couldn't celebrate. Any celebration is a penalty. You know how hard it is to get in the end zone?
Yeah, very hard.
It is to score a touchdown. Like, I need to celebrate that.
It could be your last.
You know what I'm saying?
Could be your last.
Play again. You don't know when your last play is going to be. I can never play again. So let me celebrate this. Like, I'm expressing my emotion. Like, I made a great tackle. Oh, that's a taunting foul. I'm hyped. This is not something I chose to do.
It's an emotional game.
I didn't plan to hit him hard and celebrate over him. It happened, and my emotions came out. And so to cancel those things, like I don't like those things,
It's everything. You gotta please everybody, and the real reality of it, you're not going to. You never will. It's like the old saying: I could have a truck of ice cream and give everybody free chocolate ice cream. There'll always be one person to complain and say they want vanilla. It doesn't matter that it's free. You're complaining that you want vanilla.
Exactly.
There was a story you said you wanted to tell me about Belichick.
Okay, I'm getting to this. So I played for Bill Belichick for 2 years. And people like to hate on him right now. Okay. Because the Patriots, since Tom Brady left,
Patriots way.
They won. I was there when they went 7-9. They won, I think, 10 games the year after, went to the playoffs with Mac Jones. And then this year, they're, it's whatever's going on right now. I think they're 6-6 or 7-6, whatever it is. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest football minds and defensive minds that's ever existed. And I'll tell you why in a second. First of all, I want to tell everybody, after a great quarterback leaves a franchise, there is always years of mediocrity. Always. Look at the Steelers after Ben. Okay. We're back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So the Packers were the only team that was lucky enough to go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
But most other teams, the Dolphins had a 50-year downswing from Dan Marino. The Saints, after Drew Brees, have been struggling. So, like, every team experiences a downswing after you lose a great quarterback. Look at the Chargers got lucky. They had a few years of being down, and then they got Justin Herbert. They're still not where they should be, but they have a good quarterback now, right? So they go through those processes. But Bill Belichick, I'm telling you right now, so every week on Wednesday, we had our team meeting, and it was like the coaches meeting where Bill Belichick would come up on stage. He would go in detail, and I'm breaking down the fourth. You're getting a lot of good information right now.
Yeah, I am.
So Bill Belichick will get on stage, and it's the whole team in there. And this meeting will be about 2.5 hours, which most team meetings are like 30 minutes. But he will get up there. He will talk about the team we're playing. He'll go in detail about the owners. He'll talk about how the owners made their money, right? And so let's say they made their money from inheritance, and so that dictates how they make the team. This guy made his money from working hard and started a company, so he runs the team a different way because he earned his money. He didn't run into his money. And then the quarterback they drafted, where did they draft him? How long has he been there? The coach they have, the kind of defensive or offensive mindedness the coaches is, and then the team that they have. How good is this team across the board? Because there's some games who tell us, like, hey, this team is better than us at every level, but we have to go and win this game this way. And every single week, and he's never been wrong. In my 2 years there, every single week he would tell us, like, if we play the game this way, the game will be decided by 4 points, 7 points, 10 points. If we make these plays in the second quarter, third quarter, first quarter, fourth quarter, we will either win or lose on these certain situations. And every single week he has been right, not even a little bit. Like every single week. There was a game we played the Arizona Cardinals, and you can go look this up too. We played the Arizona Cardinals, and Chase Winovich, when he was on the Patriots, I don't know if he's there or not anymore. All week in practice, there was a blitz that Bill Belichick had designed, and he had the linebackers all mugged up, and it was a fake blitz. And we would pass that, and he told Chase Winovich, it's going to look like you're going to get this sack, but I don't want you to get this sack. Kyler Murray is 5'9". I want you to back up right before you get the sack and jump up, put your hands up, and you're going to get an interception. Chase Winovich messed it up on Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, Bill cussed him out, and he ran that play 4 or 5 times. On Sunday, you know what happened? Chase Winovich backed up and got an interception, and that was the game decider.
Holy crap.
Tell you, every single week he was right. If he said this game's going to be decided, if we do this, this, and this, it'll be decided by these points. And every single week he was right. So when he gets mad at people and you see him blow up on TV, I understand why. Because he's right. Every single time. Like, he has the details down to the wind, like the wind, the direction the wind is blowing. Like, that's how detailed he is. And Sean Payton is the same way. All these great coaches, they are the same way. Sean Payton is so specific about what he wants to do that if he says we're having Greek food and they don't bring the tzatziki sauce, which is like a Greek sauce, like, he's upset because he's like, we have Greek food. The tzatziki sauce, if it's not there, it's not Greek food. Even to like the chefs, like, that's how specific these people are to like greatness and to like detail. And so like he you can say what you want about him. That dude is an amazing coach, and he's an all-time great. And again, like I said, like, you need a great quarterback to have great success. So I'm not doing Bill Belichick slander either. Like, that dude he's great at his job. He's amazing.
I've heard stories about how detailed. I've had one-on-ones with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and he broke down the running back situation. Yeah, you know, Ben Jarvis broke down the running back situation about how Tom Brady, from Belichick to Tom Brady, he would explain about, well, when I want you to come off the line, I want you to take it. The route says 5, but I want you to go at 3.5. He's like, so if you don't go at 3.5, and I ended up going 7 by mistake, he's like, now Tom Brady gets sacked. It's my fault. I made the line look bad. I made everybody look bad because I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and because the timing was off because I took 2 more steps than I needed to be. So yeah, I've heard small stories like that, but it's crazy that Belichick actually breaks down things like that. I didn't realize that in detail.
Every week, he's never wrong. In my 2 years there, maybe he is, but in 2 years, whatever it is, 30 games, I've never seen him wrong. Whatever he says goes. When we come back on Monday, we either won and he was right, or we lost and he was right. But he's never wrong. It is crazy. Like, it really blew my mind every single week. I'm just like, he did tell us this whole thing. I'm sitting in the plane like, dang, like, he told it how it's going to happen, how this game was going to play out to the exact detail every single time. And it's nuts, man. Like, his mind is crazy. Sean Payton the same way. Sean Payton would change plays. We do like a little 15. All offensive coaches have like a 15 play, you know, our first 15, right? Those are the first 15 plays. Andy Reid's really good at that. Like, that's why you see the good offensive coaches, they score on their first 2 drives, whether it's 2 field goals, touchdown field goal, whatever it is. So Sean Payton has first 15, and they always work. And he's so in detail that he'll be listen, on Sunday morning, our Sunday meeting, or our Saturday night meeting, depending on how early we play. Sunday morning, we're up there, and he's going through our first 15 offensive walkthrough. And he'll be reading out a list, and he's like, you know what? I want to change this tight end, whoever the tight end is. I want you, instead of 4.5, I want you to break to 6.5. And it's going to work. I saw something last night, and I think that's going to work today. And literally, they work every single time. And I'm just like, how? And just like, so for me, like, that's the exciting part about coaching and these guys. And like, I think coaching gets minimized a lot of times, because like guys say it's about the Jimmys and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. No. Coaching matters. And some of these guys are spectacular, and they should get credit too. Like it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Nope, you're right. And it gets a shout out. Some people are able to tap into it and put that out to the world so they can all see it. I'm glad you talked about it a lot coming from a player, and you being wowed in all of this. And but I have something else I wanted to ask you, because I know we've been here for a while, and I wanted to get into everything else you got going on. Do you think Tom Brady plays again? Do you think he retires? Or do you think it's still going to be in Tampa?
I think he goes to the 49ers.
Ooh. Even with after Trey Lance?
Yeah. I think he goes to 49ers. I think in a perfect scenario, because Trey Lance got hurt and they can see him this year, they pick up his 5th year, they take the cap hit. Tom Brady is never going to sign for the max amount of money. No. That's not his thing. So Tom Brady takes $20-30 million. They pay Trey Lance's $19 million or $20 million, whatever it is. Take a big quarterback cap hit. Jimmy G's a free agent. He just got injured. Done for the year. I think Tom Brady goes there and they try to keep the whole team together and see if they can win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Okay. That's what I think.
Do you think Levante David, you played with Levante here. He's coming up to the end of his contract this year. Good friend with his agent, Ron Butler. I was trying to actually get Ron on today, but Ron's, of course, always busy. Do you think he re-signs and comes back and finishes his career as a Buccaneer, playing at a high level? Played a great game Monday night.
Levante Davis is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. That guy has been, up until the Super Bowl year when Tom Brady got there, nobody talks about Levante David. But he is a star in the NFL. And people who play offense know how good Levante Davis is. He's a star. He's an amazing player. But I don't think he resigns Tampa. If Tampa doesn't go to the Super Bowl this year, I think they break it all up. I think they try and trade Mike Evans. And I want Mike Evans traded because Mike Evans, the way I see him, I don't think the rest of the country and football world understands how good Mike Evans has been. Because every receiver record, he breaks it every single year. Mm-hmm. But nobody knows that because he's in the Tampa market. I would love to see Mike in like a New York or like in a Kansas City, or even if it's for, lesser money, but I want to see him with a great quarterback, like for the next 4 or 5 years, of his career. And so I think if they don't go to Super Bowl, I think the Bucs break it up and they'll keep Vita Vea, they'll keep Devin White, they got to pay him. They already paid Vita. Tristan Wirfs is going. Yeah, Antoine Winfield. Tristan Wirfs isn't going anywhere. He's a stud. I think they might try and trade Donovan Smith or keep him. I don't know. I think Donovan's a stud too. One of my really good friends. But I think if the Bucs don't go to Super Bowl, I think they break it up and try and restart afresh. And I think Levante David will be on a new team, and I'm happy for that. I want him to go be somewhere. Sometimes you just need a restart. He's been there 10 years, 10, 11 years.
Got a ring.
I don't know if he wants to got a ring. I don't know if he wants to finish his contract there, but I'd like to see him somewhere else with a new start on a new team and get some notoriety. Because a lot of guys on that team, they don't get a lot of notoriety. And it's kind of like the LeBron effect. Like when you play with a guy like Tom Brady, if you win the game, it's Tom Brady that you won the game for. And if you lose, it's everyone else's fault. It's like LeBron, right? And no shade to LeBron, because LeBron's an amazing player. I think he's one of the top 3 guys of all time, right? I have him behind Michael and Kobe personally. But if you win the game, LeBron won the game. If you lose, it's Russell Westbrook, AD. It's everybody else's fault.
The water boy.
Do their job. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's everybody else's fault. And so like that kind of, it gets annoying for sure. So I'd like to see those guys on a team where they can get the respect and the glory that they deserve. And so, me selfishly, that's what I think. But I do think Tom Brady's going to be in San Fran. I think that's going to happen.
I asked that because as I asked Styles the same question, he said he would like to see Levante somewhere else as well. It's funny, you both said the same exact thing. So it was just interesting. I wanted to hear your answer on that. Styles said the same thing, and he said exactly that. Levante's been good for so long. You've what did he say? De-appreciated what he's done because he's done it. It's the same for so many years. You don't realize how many plays he's actually making because they're not splash plays. For those guys that make splash plays at one play here or there, then you highlight him, but you forgot about the guy who's been putting his lunch pail and his hard hat on, been busting his ass for 10 years, doing what he's supposed to do for years.
Understanding offenses, making plays on second down, like all these things. But you're just like, oh, like, well, he didn't get any sacks. I'm just like, dude, did you see the 50 other plays he made that game? Did you see him cover this guy so they couldn't get a pass done on 3rd and 5? Like, you know, and so people don't really watch the whole game. No. They just look for splash plays.
They're looking for splash plays.
Splash plays is such a small part of the game. It's down-to-down basis. There's not a lot of 3-down backs in the NFL anymore, 3-down linebackers. Right. You know, a lot of guys specialize. They bring in their nickel package. Levante doesn't leave the field.
Nope. He can do all of it. He can do all of it.
Other than offensive linemen, there's not a lot of guys who play every single down on a drive or the whole game. And so, like, I think he's very, very underappreciated. I think people should talk about him in the same breath to talk about Luke Kuechly, because Luke Kuechly was that dude too. Probably the best line. Yes.
Shame the concussions got him, but
yeah, that was tough, man. The concussion.
I knew it was coming when I seen him leave 2 times in one season. I said, "This is going to come to an end soon."
He used to wear a thing around his neck that was
Q collar.
Yeah, not even the Q collar. He had something underneath to like sense head hits because like he had so many of them. But like Luke Kuechly was a guy that will be on the field, and we get in a formation, and Luke Kuechly, let's say he was in the middle linebacker, so he's in the middle. We call a play, we have screen right. Luke Kuechly will walk over to the right side and just stand there, like screen right. And I'm sitting there like, how the hell did you know that? I'm like, but he watches so much.
You guys just looking up at him like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, he's got to be cheating. But it happened every
year. Got to be cheating.
Every year for 4 years. I'm like, he's got to be cheating. But he did it every single time. I literally let's say I'm playing right guard. And we have an outside run. And we have a play, we have like a wide receiver run the opposite way to hold the linebackers. As soon as the play snap, he would just sprint to where the ball's going. And I'm running at him because this is my guy. And I'm just like, bro, how did you know that? And he just starts laughing. There's a video of him that you can see. The Bucs and the Panthers played in London. Yeah, it was in London. And he got in the first quarter, he said, he came up to the sideline. He said, I saw that play because he almost had an interception. And he was like, I know that I have to run this play on this down and distance. On 3rd down and this is the play they go to. And he goes, I didn't break on it fast enough. I'm going to get an interception on this today. In the 3rd quarter, what does he do? Get an interception. And he gets those highlights. He's like, I told you. I knew they were going to run this play. I knew this was, but his mind was so crazy. Dude was awesome.
It seemed like he'll make a good defensive coordinator someday.
Like, but you know,
yeah,
a lot of guys though, when they get done, they're just like, because like it's so much, dude. Like, you know, you play sports, like it's so much. Like, it's
exhausting.
Film and, like every day, you're like just committing your life to it every day. Like, I can't drink, I can't do this. I gotta work out all day. I gotta watch film. I gotta watch film when I get home. And like, so a lot of guys when they get done, they're just done. And
they're done.
Yep. I thought that I would be the same way until I finally got a chance to coach at Sierra Canyon, and then I was like, wow, I love coaching. You know, I was like, I love seeing young guys do well. I love seeing, like, I get just as hype as I would for me when I play a good game. I love when the guys I coach do a good game. And so for me, that's what kind of led me into wanting to coach. But like, it's tough, man. Like, it's a lot of work. I don't think people realize that. I think people think you just show up on Sundays and you play. I think
that's what they think. They think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Caleb, why don't you put out everything you got going on? Let everybody know your clothing line that you got going on, all the businesses you got, your coaching. Let everybody know what you got going on outside of football.
Okay. So my clothing line is called Abuja Bodega. I'm wearing one of our hoodies right now. I've worn this a lot, so it's a little faded, but our Instagram is at Abuja Bodega. The website is abujabodega.com. The website is currently down because we are working on our new line and changing our website up to showcase our new line. And I work with Zaya Yonan. He has also Timo Cigars. He is a private equity guy. He has a private equity company called the Yonan Group. I work with him in the off seasons, and I've been learning about private equity and acquisitions of buildings and companies. I do that in the off season, and I coached at Sierra Canyon for a year. I was the offensive line coach. I had 5 guys go D1: Oregon, Stanford, Naval Academy, Cal Bears. That was a lot of fun. That's what kind of made me fall in love with coaching. And I've had coaching offers the second I retire. And so the time I retire, that's going to be my career path. I'm going to go into coaching and, try and make that happen. So that's what I got going on.
Maybe you can be the next Dion, bring up some of them HBCU schools, see what you do.
Exactly. We're going to see what happens.
And then we'll be having this same conversation about just what we talked about before, moving on to the next level and things like that. But it's always cool. I like to talk things into existence and then looking at it later. Those are exciting when you got things happening and then what the future can hold. But it was a great interview. I'm going to check out of here. I'm going to end this as we always do. This is Caleb Benenoch. I'm Blake Anthony. This is Sports Top 49, always on NSPN, Champa Bay TV. And we'll end this as we always do. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you. Thank you, guys. God bless. And as always, fire those cannons.
Love, bro.